Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love, family. Welcome to the Numbers Matter podcast unit. I am your girl, Queen B. Of course, this is Numerolitics and BTV. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. If you're new to our channel, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any upcoming content that we have coming your way. I want to welcome you guys to Numbers Matter. This is unit number 9. Today, we have a very special guest, Portia Cooper. She's going to be talking to us about twin flames and soulmates. So without further ado, let's bring her up on the stage. Peace and love, Portia. Welcome back to Numbers Matter.
Hey, Queen, how are you?
I'm good. How have you been since we did our last episode?
Been doing well. Great, actually. I moved and everything has just been lining up for me. So I'm more than blessed. So,
Good,
and
good.
just want to say thank you to the audience for, tuning in to this show. It's going to be an interesting one.
Absolutely.
Especially with
Absolutely.
Valentine's Day being right around the corner, right?
Right. So Valentine's Day is at the end of this week. So
Hmm.
that's why we wanted to bring you guys this show today. We wanted to give you an idea of a little bit of the background on Valentine's Day. And also, with Portia being such a great astronumerologist, she's going to give us some real in-depth information about like twin flames and
Hmm.
soulmates. So we're going to get into all of that and we'll get the lowdown on Portia on what's the difference between them things. So
Yeah.
before we get into that, Portia, is talk a little bit about why you chose that. Did you choose it because it was Valentine's Day, or was there a more specific reason? Why did you choose to do this topic today?
Well, it's a little combination of both, right? We are approaching that particular so-called holiday. You know how I feel about these holidays.
Yes, we
And
talked about that on the
all
last episode about those
right,
holidays.
and they make people, and then the Valentine's one is so unique in a sense that it makes you feel bad for being alone, right?
Yeah,
People who are alone on Valentine's Day, they're feeling some kind of way, and then people in a relationship, they feel obligated to do something that one particular day. As a matter of fact, a lot of women will say that, oh, my man gave me this on Valentine's Day, but what other day of the year is he doing for you, right? It seems to be the one day out the year where your man has to do something for you, where I'm feeling like, well, shouldn't he be doing something for you 365? I mean, like, I'm not saying buy flowers every day, but just show that he loves you in some kind of way, right? Some
right,
gesture, be it big or small, every day. It shouldn't just be relegated to one day. And
right.
then another thing is, I have personal experience with twin flames, going through that experience myself. And so I want to save some people some headache and heartache, and also talk about the difference of soulmates and twin flames, because people think twin flame is just the end all be all. I have to be with that person. He's my twin flame or she's my twin flame. And that's not really what that's for. So I just wanted to clarify some things.
Well, that's great, and I can't wait to hear about it. So I'm going
Hmm.
to just go ahead off the bat and ask you. So, what is a twin flame? Hmm.
Okay. So a twin flame is someone who is your same soul reincarnated at the same time as you. Okay. Everybody
Wow.
understands that the soul reincarnates, yes?
Yes,
And we
I
understand.
understand. Hopefully, our audience understands that. But if
Right.
they don't understand that, you just gave them a jewel.
Exactly. So your soul has lived and relived many lives, many past lives, future lives. Because when we talk about time, time is a man-made construct, right?
Mhm.
From a soul perspective and a soul level, there is no time. So everything is going everything all at once, right? So this whole lifetime that we're living is all part of a whole, right? We're just
Mhm.
one little small slice. We're living in one slice of time, but the soul sees the beginning and the end of everything. So, with that being said, your soul repeatedly reincarnates into different lifetimes. Now, in the linear sense, we think that reincarnation happens, oh, well, I lived in 1776 and then I reincarnated again in 1896 and then I came back in 1978, right? You're thinking that way, and you think that your soul only reincarnated into one being, but that's not the truth. Your soul can reincarnate within the same time period. And so that is what your twin flame is. They are the same soul energy as you are, but where you
Mhm.
guys differ would be on the mental level, the mind, right? Because the mind has its own energy. This is
Mhm.
your soul, but think about, this person has lived a different life than you have, right? Their experiences are different. So that's where you differ. but the energetic resonance that you'll feel with this person is going to be real. So
Mm-hmm.
let me talk about my personal experience as far as with twin flames.
Sure.
Um, I didn't know anything about twin flames, and this happened back in 2011, sitting at home chilling, and I get a text message just randomly from some guy, pretty much scolding this woman for setting him up on a date with her cousin, and saying that she talked about his private parts, and she was just going off about, how big his private parts were and all this stuff, and he
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that. And I saw that. I'm like, wait a minute. Well, if you got that and she knows, and y'all had sex basically, and he came back and he was like, oh no, that's not how it happened. I'm not that kind of guy. Blah blah blah. I'm like, well, this dude doesn't even know me from a can of paint. Or remember, this is a text. We're not even talking. And instantly, I felt something for this person. I'm like, why the heck am I feeling something over a text message?
Mm-hmm.
Well, as time went on, we would text back and forth, and we had like instant chemistry. It was just this instant connection. And I'm just like, this doesn't seem right. Like, I'm not even talking to this person on the phone, but
Mm-hmm.
yet I have this instant connection. And the thing about it was, he would never want to meet me in person. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just cut this off. So I would cut it
Yeah.
off. And then out of the blue, he would text me back or try to call me and be like, oh, I had to get your number back. I had to talk to you. I'm like, well, what's going on with you? Like, why are you feeling like you have to do these things to get back to me? But then it was like every time I would try, he would run away.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward like a few years later, I'm feeling in some kind of way because I couldn't understand why we had such good energy. We had chemistry. I met him, and when I met him in person, there was just like this energy that just I've never felt it before. It was like a woof, like a vibrating energy. I couldn't explain. I mean, I still can't tell you exactly what it was, but when we were in close proximity, I just felt this energy between us, and I was like, I've never felt this with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And fast forward, I go and talk to a spiritual advisor, and she was like, "Oh, you guys, your aura's a link. He's your twin flame." I'm like, "My twin flame? Like, what the heck is this?" Right? I've been
Yeah.
experiencing this stuff with this person, and she tells me, "Oh, well, this is what you have to do. Pay $400, and we're gonna do this and that's and that." I'm like, I had to take a step back because I'm like, I don't know about this, and so that's how I figured out that this guy was my twin flame.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from from that point, I remember going to a Reiki, a lady who did Reiki, and I remember her saying there was something going on with my heart chakra, and I told
Mm-hmm.
her about him, and she was like, "Well, what you need to do is tell the universe that, hey, if this person means me no good, then release him him from me." I did that, and he immediately called. It's almost like he felt that I was trying to release
Trying
him.
to release them.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is some crazy crap. And then
Yeah.
I started digging further into twin flames. When you are a twin flame, you have what's called a divine masculine and a divine feminine.
Mm-hmm.
It's just energy. So he represents masculine energy, and I represent the feminine energy. But the problem with the situation is that, like I said, we have polar opposites at the mind, and me trying to get him was pushing him away. So me, it's called the runner chaser phase. I don't know if you heard of that, but when people talk about twin flames, they talk about a runner chaser phase, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
that is. It's when you are chasing this person, but they're just running, right? They want everything but you. But then the
Right.
moment you stop giving them any attention, then they'll come back because now that energy is not there, and you kind of neutralize it, and now they come back. Right. And this
Mm.
happened a few times with me and this guy. And I was like, you know what? I have to cut this off. And what I realized and what I found out, because people will take advantage of people who are so-called twin flame relationships because they
Mm-hmm.
know what you want the most is to be with that person, right? You do anything to be with that other person. You're hurting so bad on the emotional level because all you just thinking this person just completes you and they're going to be the only one for you, and that people have taken advantage of those who are in the twin flame community. As a matter of fact, you go look up this couple, Jeff and Shalala. They created kind of like a cult because they said, oh, we're twin flames and we're in union, and you can be in union with your twin flame too, right? Selling it like it's a package.
Yeah.
And that's not what your twin flame is for. Your twin flame, like I said, is your soul reincarnated in another body. They're coming to wake you up to your true self. And that's
Mm.
what the journey is. That person is supposed to spark your spiritual journey,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's time for you to start looking in. It's time for you to figure out who you are, right? Aside from who you think you were. And
Right.
that's really what the purpose of a twin flame is. It's not to be with this person. It's great if you can make that happen, by all means. If you really want to be with this person, he wants to be with you, then you do that. But I've had women that have paid hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to twin flame coaches, to spiritual advisors, trying to give them advice on how to bring this one person into their lives. And it's almost like they're desperate and needy. And I just feel like, we really need to understand what this person is for, because they're not for you to be with, right? They're there to wake you up in a sense and get you on your spiritual path. Because even with my so-called twin flame, he and I would talk about things that I had never talked about before. Like, he told me about the pineal gland. She was giving me metaphysical history, things like that I had never even crossed my mind before. And I'm like, man, he's really opening my mind to this new information. And that's how I grew into this whole thing, was through him. Now, I thank him for that, right? And I wish him the best in life, but I don't feel now like I have to be with him, because now I know who I am. Right. And so that is the difference. Now, a soulmate is just someone that, so, let's say you're a band.
Before you get into the soulmate, I got a couple questions.
Sure.
Okay. And we're going to get into the soulmate. So let me ask you, I heard you say that there are phases for the twin flame. So how many phases are there?
There's separation, right? Separation of you guys not being together. And then the divine feminine goes through what's called obsessive thinking. This whole situation, it just consumes you to the point where some people feel like they can't work, right? It's almost like you had a bad breakup and you just can't do anything. You're paralyzed. So that's called the separation phase. And then there's also the runner chaser phase, right? Which kind of happens during the separation. Because that's when you're trying to chase this person, and they want everything but you. They're pulling away from you. There's nothing you can do to make them happen. And then they have what's called union, when you guys actually come together, right? And that's what they call union. So separation, runner and chaser phase, and then union, right? Everybody wants to be in union, but everyone has a twin flame, right? Because I just told you what the definition of one was. It's your soul reincarnated in another body. Your soul still is a part of your soul, up in heaven, right? It's not all of your soul reincarnates at the same time. So everyone has a twin flame. Sometimes it's not reincarnated with you in this lifetime, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. So that was a great breakdown, Queen. Thank you so much. So you guys heard it. So with twin flames, there's 3 phases. You have the separation phase, the runner chaser phase, and the union phase. And like Portia said, the twin flame is actually your same soul that's just reincarnated into a different person at the same time as you.
That's right.
And that's why that you guys feel such that strong connection with each other. Could be some like you said, you didn't even know this person, but you had a strong connection to them over the text, and then it just grew from there. I think that's interesting. So how long, would you say that there's a time frame, or it just depends on situation to situation, twin to twin, on how long people go through these phases?
It just depends on situation, if it's supposed to be, then there's nothing that you would have to do to make it happen. There have been times when people have had twin flames and they just move on with their lives. And then all of a sudden they're getting ready to fly somewhere, and boom, they run into their twin flame at the airport and they come together, right? Because you have been focusing on yourself and doing the work yourself. It's almost like you don't even care if this person's in your life or not. That's when they show back up. So you don't ever, there's really no time frame. Everybody's life is different, as far as what their soul contracts are. And some people may never be with their twin flame, and that's okay too, because the best thing that you can get out of the situation is knowing thy true self, right? And that's what you want to do. You want to dive deeper into yourself, because remember, we're not separated from anything. We're all connected because we're all part of the one. It's just this illusion of separation that we have here. And that's what you're going through this whole twin flame journey, right? The illusion of separation, because no one is separate from you. We're all one. And so that's what you get to learn, is through your consciousness, we're all connected.
That's very interesting, Queen. Very interesting. Okay, so let's talk about the soulmate now. So tell us what a soulmate is.
So a soulmate is kind of like a band. So let's say, we're a band, right? And you are the saxophone and I happen to be the trumpet. We can get together and we can vibrate and make good music together, but we're 2 different frequencies, right? But we harmonize, we harmonize well. So a soulmate can be anyone. It could be a friend, family member, your dog, right? It can be anything that is in similar vibrational resonance as you,
Mm-hmm.
harmonizes with you energetically, but not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily your soul,
Mm.
right?
And that's, to me, that's the poignant part. That's where people get those two things mixed up.
Right, because it's not that soul aspect of twin flames is never discussed, right? Nobody ever talks about what an actual twin flame, and there's been so much BS passed around on the internet through social media. As I said before, there's a lot of twin flame gurus. As a matter of fact, I met another girl who was going through a similar situation as I was about 5 years ago, and she was trying to get her twin flame back, and she actually paid for a twin flame coach, right? There's
Mm.
people out there that will take your money, right? But this guy, he wasn't charging that much because he genuinely wanted to help people. But you have people who paid tens of thousands of dollars to the so-called twin flame coach, and they never get their twin flame. Why? Because they're so fixated on the other person and not themselves.
Right. And you got to, and once you fixate on yourself, it's going to attract to you.
Exactly, because you attract who you are, right? Like attracts like. And so
Mm-hmm.
long as you fix yourself to the point where you're okay being by yourself, whether this person's with you or not, and guess what? You'll probably find somebody better. You're probably going to attract somebody better than what your twin flame would ever have been, right? Because we think
Right.
that we need this other person because we feel so connected to them. Well, how do we know this other person is even good for you?
Right. How do we
Yeah.
know, even, and like you said, they could be a twin flame to you, but they could be completely have a negative mindset,
Yes.
a negative upbringing. Um,
Yes.
so, it may be where you might resonate with this person, but then you kind of go through this journey with them through those phases, and
Hmm.
it may never coalesce the way you might want it to, because of that.
That's true. And the thing is, while you're over here working on yourself spiritually and whatnot, because women also often ask the question, well, if I'm over here doing all this, what is he feeling? What is he feeling? He ain't feeling
Yeah.
nothing. He living
Right.
his life, he going on. And that's what
Right.
happens, right? You over here crying and pining for this person. He out there in
Yes.
the streets doing his thing, seeing this woman, that woman, right? He ain't worried about you. Right. And that's the thing that you have to realize.
Yeah.
Right. You're over here pining over someone who doesn't even give two craps about you. They're living on and doing their thing, right? They
Hmm.
may come check on you every now and again. You think he cares? No, that doesn't mean that. Like
Right.
I said, and someone brought up the good point is that we always are going around trying to look for someone to complete us. Oh, he's gonna complete me. Ah, I can't wait. He's gonna fulfill me. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Why can't you be complete before he comes along? Because remember,
Right.
two halves of a circle make one circle, right? And so you guys are just gonna keep going round and round. It's never gonna go anywhere.
Right.
But if you're a circle and he's a circle, then you come together like a Venn diagram, right? You got that middle, which is the Vesica Pisces, and anything can be born through that, right? That's where everything is born from, through the Vesica Pisces.
Right.
So that's what you want to create. You want to create a possibility for you and your lover, I should say, when you guys come together, that relationship should be fruitful.
Right. And I'll even take that a step further. The way you did that demonstration, that could also denote a symbol of infinity. So, when you are whole and you add it with another whole and you do that, that can make an infinity symbol too. So that's why people do a lot of times misjudge that and think that you
Hmm.
need another person, another entity, another soul to complete you, but you don't. You have all the tools you need to complete yourself, family. Like, you are born with everything you need. You're born with the wherewithal to complete yourself, but you have to believe in yourself. You have to know what makes you happy. And then once you know that, and then you get with somebody else that has also done that, now you have infinite happiness and wisdom that you can share together.
That's beautiful. And that's what it's about, right? That infinite happiness and wisdom that you guys can share together because you guys are complete and you came together to make something beautiful. And so there, thus, something beautiful has been birthed through the
Right.
union, right? Through the union of the two
Right.
circles. And so that's what I'm referring to. And I hate to see people being taken advantage of because remember, what are the three main topics that people always pay money for? Health,
Health.
wealth, and love.
Yeah.
Health,
Yep.
wealth, and love. I mean, that's the only thing anybody ever cares about. Those are the three most talked about topics. That's the ones that people are willing to spend the most money on: health, wealth, and love. And so if I
Right.
tell you, hey, you pay me $10,000, I get your twin flame for you, and you're feeling in such a way, you're going to pay whatever kind of money. As a matter of fact, there was a Netflix special on this couple named Jeff and Shalala. I'm not sure if you
Mm-hmm.
heard of them. And how they were getting people in to tell them, oh, we'll get your twin flame, we'll bring you into union, blah, 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 blah. And that's another thing. If anybody comes across as a couple and they're telling you that they're twin flames, red flag, red flag, red flag. Because
Mm-hmm.
the masculine side of things, he'll never say that. He's never going
Right.
to be like, oh, we're in union together. Yeah, honey, blah, blah, blah. It just doesn't work like that. And
Mm-hmm.
so you should already know then that that's a scam. And I remember when I was going through my little twin flame journey, there was this couple that I talked to, not Jeff and Shalala, but another couple, and they were telling me, "Oh, well, yeah, sign up for our coaching services." And this was when COVID just happened, so I just lost the job that I had,
Mm-hmm.
and so I told them, I said, "Well, I just lost my job, blah blah blah," and I didn't hear nothing from them. Now they wanted to help me, but as soon as I told them,
Until you didn't have no money.
crickets, crickets. So were they really trying to help me? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. So when you have people in this, unfortunately, you do have people that will try to take advantage of you when you're
Yes.
in a certain emotional state because they know you're willing to do anything to feel better.
Right. And I think that's important for people to use their discernment when they're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with people in this community. You know, get to fill people out, get to know them a little bit first. To me,
Mm-hmm.
I like to get to know, like if I have a client that comes to me, I want to know a little bit about you.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything, but just tell me some stuff about you. Let me get comfortable with you. Hopefully you're dealing with somebody that you can resonate with. That's another thing that I would say would be a red flag. Like if someone's always upfront about their money and the price, and of course people need to be paid for their services. But
Right.
to me, I think this type of work that we do, it's not just about the money. Like I didn't get into this just to get money. I wanted to genuinely understand myself better. I wanted to get in tune with my own spirit better. And I wanted to be able to help others, help people that often come to me for advice anyway. And now I have a better understanding of things in the spiritual realm on the esoteric level to be able to help them do different things with balancing their energy or understanding who they are and their frequency. But a lot of people that are in this business, they're only in it for the money. And I
Right.
think if people start putting their thinking caps on and using their discernment when they deal with people, you can tell that. You can tell right away like who's just in it for money and who's really in it to really help you.
That's true. And, and I don't have a problem with people charging whatever for their services, as long as
Right.
they get results. Like, think about Tony Robbins, right? Tony Robbins
Mhm.
charges $1 million a year for his services, right?
Mhm.
I can see him getting that because he gets results, right? So I
Yes.
don't have a problem with Tony Robbins charging $1 million.
And he puts the
Just like
work in. You've seen his work. He
you
is a
see, right? The proof
portfolio.
is
Right.
right. You see his proof.
Right.
But some other people, where they're charging these thousands of dollars, where's their results? Where's their proof? And that's what
Right.
I'm talking about. If you're going to be paying tens of thousands of dollars to someone, telling you they can help bring someone into your life, where's the proof? I need to talk to your past clients. I need to see who's with their twin flame. Like right before I go and fork over all this money to you, because there are some people out here looking to help that's not charging a fraction of that. Right.
Right.
And that's usually the ones who are really genuinely trying to help. They're the ones charging the lowest prices.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, right?
That is so true, and I think it's really important. Like I said, you guys, especially in this day and time, there's a lot of different changes that are going on, and people, we're scamming is at an all time high right now.
Mm-hmm.
You getting scammed through your phone now. They sending you a text message telling you that you have a package. Click this link and all that, and you didn't order anything. But some people will
Hmm.
still go ahead and click that link knowing that they didn't order anything. So this is where we have to use the power of ourselves. And this is where I want people to believe in yourself. I even tell clients of mine, of course, this is what I'm letting you know, but I want you to follow your own path.
Yep. And
That's a
that's
part of
true.
my disclaimer. You have to, I'm giving you this information. Any way you use or misuse it is up to you. I always want you at the end of the day to follow your own heart, follow your own mind, and follow your own path.
Mm-hmm.
You
That's
know,
true. And I would, and of course, I wouldn't be me if I didn't bring up a little history about Valentine's Day.
yes, I was
uh,
just going to ask you about Valentine's Day.
Right, right. I want to touch upon that because again,
Yes.
we have been programmed as women, right, to harp on this one day that our man should bring us candy, flowers, take us out to dinner, lobster dinner, right? Not just no McDonald's, boo. I need you to go get me a steak, right? Like we
Right.
want it all on Valentine's Day, but where did that come from? Where did that programming come from, right? And it's a program. Because like I said, if you're in a loving relationship, you should not be harping on this one day for him to do something for you, right? It
Right.
shouldn't even be that serious. And again, Valentine's supposed to represent love, right? Couples, romance, all that good stuff. And again, it's another Roman holiday, pagan holiday that has been indoctrinated into Christianity. Of course, it was called Lupercalia, right? Back in the Roman days, it was called Lupercalia. It started around 270 AD. Um, and
Mm.
so from there, it was really a Roman fertility festival. A lot of these festivals they have, like Easter, they were all predicated on fertility, sex, right? Even when I
Yeah.
told you about what went on during Saturnalia and Dionysus during Christmas, there was a
Yes.
whole lot of sex, right?
A lot
And
of orgies.
a lot of orgies and all that
Yeah.
going on. So
Mhm.
this is no different, right? So the pagan holiday Lupercalia was celebrated around February 15th. We're putting the date on it because they didn't go by that calendar back in those days. But
Mhm.
again, it was dedicated to the fertility god Phanes.
Mm.
So that is the Roman god of agriculture. So this came right after the winter season's about to come out. Right, we're about to get out of the winter season and get into spring. And so the fertility god of agriculture, Phanes, was the one that they would pray to or have these orgies, right, in order to, I guess, to show their allegiance to him. I guess is
Yeah,
what they
like give
did.
offering to him.
Yeah, offering, probably some
Yeah.
sacrifices off in there too, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's what they dedicated this particular festival to. And so, of course, Christianity had to come with this broom and try to clean it up, right? So they try to
Right.
Christianize Lupercalia by making it Valentine's Day. Okay. So let you know how it would actually turn out. Um, it's one of those things where Christians couldn't get rid of it because pagans were used to having this holiday. So in order for them to convert people over, they, when in Rome, right? You have to do as the Romans do, literally. So they
Yes.
had to clean up the holiday, and this is what they made it into. Now I'm gonna read
Mm.
this. Let me read this little chapter here. It says, to begin the festival, members of the Luperci, an order of Roman priests, would gather at a sacred cave where the infants Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome. Remember, those two infants were the founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus. And remember, they were European descent, but being raised by dogs, right? Because that goes back to their origin with dogs. So we'll talk about that another time. But anyway, we're believed to have been cared for by a she wolf or lupa, right? Lupa is another word for wolf. The priest would sacrifice a goat for fertility and a dog for purification. Then they would strip the goat's hide into strips, dip into the sacrificial blood, and take it to the streets, gently slapping both women and men. I'm sorry, both women in the crop fields with the goat hide, right, with the blood. So far from being fearful, Roman women welcomed the touch of the hides because they believed to make them more fertile in the coming year. Later in the day, according to the legend, all the young women in the city would place their names in a big urn. The city's bachelors would choose a name and become paired for the year as his chosen woman. These matches often ended in marriage. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is what our Valentine's Day is, right? So it is a tradition where women were being slapped with blood, right? Them in the crops. And then at the end of the day, they put their name in this big pot, and the men come along and choose the name. So
I
the blood
mean,
represented fertility.
yeah, I mean, and I think if people, I don't know, but I feel like if people knew the history on a lot of this stuff that we just do every day, we do every year, I don't know, would they still do this stuff? Would they still partake in these holidays? I don't know.
What about you? Now that you know, are you partaking in Valentine's Day? I mean, I don't quite look at it the same way now that I know the
Right,
origins of it and how it all got started. And like I said, I'm one to believe that Valentine's Day should be every day. I shouldn't be relegated just to one day out the year.
right. And I do agree with you there. And I don't normally celebrate any of the holidays. The only holidays I take advantage of when I'm off of work, obviously I take advantage of being off, spending that time with my family or, people
Hmm.
that I love or whatever the case. But as far as like Valentine's Day, I've never really been one to celebrate it in that fashion or that way where I was like expecting my man to do all this stuff for me because it's Valentine's Day. And then I got mad at him when he didn't. So no, I've never been that deep into it anyway. But yeah, like to me, I know that these holidays have their dark, deep history. And that's one of the reasons that I really just don't. Plus, to me, it's really just a money grab. We talked about this on the last show. These holidays are strategically set
For
in each
corporations to make
month.
money. Hmm.
Yeah, almost every month there's a holiday set for you to go spend X amount of dollars in order to keep a person happy when we don't really need any of that stuff. We
And
don't
that
really.
goes back to who planted those ideas into the woman's head that you should be getting something on Valentine's Day. Oh, was it the corporations, right? So all this propaganda has all been said from the beginning because just as you said, who benefits from these holidays and for you spending all the money, going out to dinner, buying the balloons, the bears, the flowers, whatever you're getting for your boo, um, who benefits from that? The corporations and the businesses. And so they expect to make money every time this year, right around this year on Valentine stuff. And so that's what they do. They put out all the Valentine stuff. And it's crazy to think that we have been programmed in such a way to think that this is like a love day. Even the heart, remember the heart that you find for Valentine's
Mhm.
Day? That is actually a woman bent over. That's the shape of an ass, um, but turned upside down.
So, I mean, I guess it kind of resonates because I guess people were trying to get that ass on Valentine's Day.
My point, right? So the
Yeah.
whole point, and then it's red, so that goes back to the blood that was smeared during that festival, right? That's why
Mm,
red is such a popular color on Valentine's Day, and that's another reason why there've been so many bloody Valentine movies, right? Because the
right.
blood and Valentine's Day are one, because that represents the fertility. Remember, they go and sacrifice the goat, and then they go and spread the blood around for the women to be fertile, right?
Wow.
And that represents menstruation as well, right? Because in order for you to be fertile, you have to be what? On your menstrual, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so
I mean,
that's
but
where that comes back to.
it's so twisted though. They twist things up so nicely and package it so nicely for the American consumer, and not just American. I mean, all obviously this is a nationwide thing, so it's a global thing. I think a lot of different places celebrate this. So, they package it up so nicely and they really get people. And I think this is the problem with a lot of the people because they just follow this stuff blindly without doing any type of research, without
Hmm.
figure out, hey, why would I be doing this, and what does this mean? And what does it mean if I don't do this? And I think the pressure also of the society puts on people.
Right.
So
Right. When you're at work and your coworker gets a big vase of flowers on Valentine's Day and your man didn't get you nothing, you on the corner, all, you know what I'm saying?
looking,
You in the
yeah,
corner.
looking all evil and stuff, all
Right, right.
mad.
You feeling some kind of way. Then you're going to go home with an attitude. You didn't get me nothing for Valentine's Day. Yeah. Well, I bought you some. Well, you didn't send it to work. Nobody else knows I got this, right?
Right.
So,
And that's the problem. People's always worried about what somebody else knows or thinks of them. And
hmm,
that goes back to the twin soul thing. It goes back to you being complete with yourself. And
correct.
I'm telling you guys, when you guys get complete with yourself, you really will not care what nobody thinks about you. You won't care what they got to say about
Whether they're
you.
riding with you or not.
Yeah. And I mean, look at it. I mean, they crucified Jesus. So if they could talk about Jesus, would you think they're not going to talk about you or crucify you?
I don't think you're above that, right? Nobody's
Right,
above it. Nobody's above criticism or judgment from others. As a matter of
right.
fact, that's one of the beauties of life because that's one of the obstacles you have to overcome. As long as you can love yourself, no matter who you are, what you are, and how you present yourself to the world, it doesn't give a damn about who people think you should be or how you should be in the world, right?
Right.
Because those who lead are usually pioneers, right? I also speak about, and I mentioned this before. You got to be crazy to be a pioneer or a leader.
Yeah. A
Anytime
little
you're
bit. Yeah, you
inventing
gotta have a
something,
little crazy in you.
like if I told you back in was at 1910 that I'm making a computer, you'd have been like, making a computer? She crazy. What was even a computer? Blah, 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 blah. You wouldn't even, but then I'd have been ahead of my time, right? Creating that, just like with the automobile, right? And so that's what I'm saying. You have to be a little bit different, a little bit crazy to be innovative and to pioneer. Because remember, everything that you see in the material world was all an imagination of one person's mind in the beginning.
Right.
There was no chair, there was no table. So this person had to think beyond what was there already. And
Right.
that's what I'm saying. That's how you know you're next level. When you
Mm.
can see things that are not in existence yet and be like, you know what, I'm going forward with that, no matter what this person thinks or they think I'm crazy. Because I know they had to think Alexander Graham Bell was crazy when you told him you're doing the telephone. Like, telephone? What? What is that? What we gonna do with that?
I'll tell you a funny story about that telephone invention. When they first did it, instead of saying hello, they were saying ahoy.
Ahoy.
Yeah, ahoy was what it was originally was, and then I forget which person said, "Oh no, let's do hello." Like I forget the whole science on behind why they changed it, but ahoy was what they used to say when all the first telephones were invented. It was ahoy.
And you got to think about it. When he invented that telephone, who was he calling? Because nobody else had telephone, right?
Right,
So how was that working?
right.
So
He could only
that's
call
not.
his friends because he had to make them one so he could
Yeah,
call
he
them.
had to make two, right? He
Yeah,
had to make two in order for it to work.
yeah,
But that's my point. Like, we all need to start thinking outside the box. We need to
yes,
start just thinking for ourselves, no matter what people think of you, and be your own self and be whole and complete without looking for someone else to love you. Love yourself first, because what I have learned is that love yourself first, people will come in, right? Because
yep,
like attracts like. If you love you, then other people are going to come in that love you too.
yep. You
I mean,
treat
that's
you
really the
good, people are going to,
treat
and
you
you
good.
setting the standard now. You set the standard for yourself. So if you don't love
Correct.
yourself and you don't treat yourself right, do you expect someone else to come along and do that when you're not even setting that standard for them to do that?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You have to set the standard for what you want in your life and how you want this person or this partner or this lover to show up in your life,
Right,
right? And don't be looking to be completed, because you should already be whole by now,
right,
right? And then when you get to a certain age, you should already know what you're looking for, and you shouldn't be taking any concessions,
right.
right? A lot of times, because I did that with my twin flame, I was like, okay, I don't usually talk to guys who are like this, but I'm gonna talk to him. I would make these little concessions because how I was feeling towards him,
Yes.
right? And women,
Mhm.
we're emotional. We'll get caught up in some emotional stuff really, really quick. And men know
Very
how to
quick.
do that. They know how to manipulate us emotionally too. Some men very well. You
Mhm.
have to watch out for that when you're being emotionally manipulated, right? And
And
don't
you have to
allow
watch
anybody
out
to
with
do you
that, I
like
would
that.
imagine, when you're dealing with your twin flame, because that they're the same soul, so they know what to do to
They
get you to
know.
that point.
They know, right? Instinctively, they know. Matter of fact, how I also knew that me and this person had a connection, because, like I said, I didn't know anything about twin flames when we met, but we had a dream. We shared the same dream. It was a dream where we were like at this car wash, and how I knew we shared the same dream. As soon as I opened my eyes that morning, which was about 7 o'clock, he called my phone, and he called me immediately as soon as I opened. He was just like, "Oh my gosh, I just had a dream with you in it," and I said, "Me too." I don't know how many other people you have ever been in the same, y'all had the same dream the same night, but that was like
Yeah.
some eerie stuff.
Yeah, that sounds to me, that's real right there. It doesn't get any realer than that.
It doesn't. It doesn't. And like I
No.
said, I wasn't even on that whole twin flame thing. Like how some people know about a twin flame, looking for that twin flame and think they found
Mhm.
it because this person makes them feel so right. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like
Mhm.
that. But we as women, we're taught at a young age that there's this one man out here that's going to be all that you need, right? We're always looking for that one. And we'll use the words interchangeably, soulmate and twin flame, when they're not the same thing. They're
Right.
totally not the same thing.
Mhm. Now, it's possible that your twin flame could be your soulmate, but not
Not
the other
really.
way around, right? So
No, they
it's
can't be your soulmate, because there's no other. A soulmate is not your same soul, right? They're just
okay. I
somebody
got
who's in energetic resonance with you.
you. Mhm.
So that would be the difference. Your twin flame is you in another body. As
Mhm.
crazy as it may sound, but
So
that is
once they
you in
have
another
that
body.
title, they don't need the title of soulmate anyway, because they're
No,
already your same soul.
No, your soulmates come into your life to help you out in some kind of way. And not saying your twin flame doesn't, because he's supposed to spark that light in you that says, oh, I need to get on my conscious shit. Like I need to be right, get into this
Right.
metaphysics things. I need to be learning about numerology. I need to know
Hmm.
about my intuition. Like you really need to start diving deeper into that world, because
Hmm.
that's what's coming along. Your soul is trying to get your attention basically. And they use this other person to do that,
Right.
because it's been trying to get your attention throughout your life. You just haven't been paying attention. But now it's moving through this other person to call your attention back to what you need to be doing and getting you back on your path.
Right. And I
You
like the way
understand?
you said that because it's true. Like throughout this life, and we see now, it's even more so prevalent now. There's so many distractions. There's so many things that take you off of a path that you should be walking down. And then
Mm-hmm.
you have all of these different distractions. You have different life events that happen. And sometimes you don't listen to that intuition that you get. You shun it off. You say, "Oh no, that's not right. I'm tripping." But
What
then,
will people think if
later
I do
on, you find
numerology
out
or
I
something?
wasn't tripping. That was really something. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's something to be said about that.
Yeah, it is, because that's all it is. This person, your soul is using this person to get your attention, right? It couldn't have done it any other way. You wasn't listening, right? Like you said, your soul was dropping hints, dropping clues, dropping crumbs. You was like, ah, no, I'm not doing that. Ah, I'm not getting into cardology. Ah, no, I'm not getting into astrology. What would people think if I start taking a numerology class, or
Right.
start getting into this stuff? And so you was pushing that off. You're so like,
Right.
nah, we getting back on this path. And that's what it
Right.
did. It used this other person, because that's you and this other body. Y'all cross paths so you can get back on your path.
So they letting you know, like, oh, you're off the path, right? It's like a little
Exactly.
nudge, like.
Exactly. And it's all about what you do with the information that you get. Because some people, they can't handle it and they start just cracking emotionally. Whereas
Mhm.
others will try to find a way to get in alignment with spirit, because that's really what it's about. You're supposed to be in alignment with consciousness, with spirit, right? With your true
Mhm.
self. Once you get in alignment with your true self, then more will be added to you, because you're going to start attracting just crazy positive things and positive people,
Yeah.
experiences to you, which may or may not include your twin flame. But I can guarantee you that person's going to come back. He's going to
Right.
come back. Now, whether you want to be with him or not, that's up to you at that point, because you'll probably be like, you know what, I don't even need him, right? Because I'm on my
Mhm.
path, I'm on my shit. I don't, right? He
Right.
did what he needed to do. That
Right.
doesn't mean we have to be together.
Right. Now let me ask you this question in the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So with the twin flames, you talked about the divine masculine waking up that energy in the divine feminine.
Mm-hmm.
What is the divine feminine's role in that in relation to the divine masculine? Are they there also to tap that person on the shoulder to wake them up to a reality? Or are they there to wake them up to some type of emotional or receptive type of energy?
And that's a great question, because the way people look at it is like, he's the conscious mind, she's the subconscious mind,
Hmm.
right? So the subconscious is always working underneath the surface. The conscious mind is never aware of what's going on subconsciously.
Hmm.
So he may never ever get into anything that you're doing,
Right.
right? You may be all into astrology and all this stuff. And if you guys start talking, he probably doesn't want any part of that, right?
Hmm.
Because he's not on that level mentally. Remember, that's where you guys differ. You differ on the mental
Right.
level. Now, if he was already into those things when you met him and you start telling him that, this is what you're getting into, that he may be more willing to be on board with that. But again, that was something he was already doing before you came along,
Right.
right? We don't have that much influence on divine masculine. They
Wow.
make their own decisions, right? Because that's the
Hmm.
conscious mind and we're the subconscious mind.
Hmm.
But what we do in some ways does subtly, energetically affect them, but not on the scale that you think it would.
Yeah, not on a more grander scale than how
No,
they affect us.
no, not at all.
Hmm.
Not at all. That's why I
Hmm.
said, if you ever meet a twin flame couple and the divine man, oh yeah, we're twin flame, blah, blah, and he's all with her, you have to look at that twice. Like, I don't see that, because it's almost like he's negative and you're positive, right? And that's how people look at it. So the two polar opposites, right? They can come together, but sometimes they repel each other too.
Yeah. So they do repel each other.
Yeah, they
Um,
can. That's the
yeah.
repelling, is when you're trying to push, push, push to be with him, and he's running, running, running.
Yeah, so that's the runner chaser phase, that
That's the
repelling.
the needy energy, and you can't figure out why this person won't be with you because you're so freaking needy. Like, why would somebody want to be with someone who's so desperate?
Right, and clinging to them in that way. Yeah,
Correct.
people, and that's another thing that people have to understand in relationships too. I want people to understand when we were talking about those two circles and you have to be your own circle. It's really true. You cannot get into these relationships and lose yourself completely by just absorbing what your partner does, absorbing your partner's hobbies, absorbing your partner's mindset, their thought process. You're supposed to be your own whole person, and you're supposed to be able to continue to do things independently of your partner. Just because you're in a relationship doesn't always equate to, oh, we have to do everything together. Well, no one does everything together. No one should do everything together. And a matter of fact, I can guarantee you, if you're doing everything together, that's going to be a relationship that ends sooner than you want it to, because you're going to end up getting on each other's nerves and making the other tick. People have to have their own space. People need time to self-reflect. They need time to reflect on things that they did with you, and they can't do that if you're constantly in their face or constantly clinging to them everywhere they go. So people have to realize, when you get in these relationships, you got to be independent to a point where you can be self-sufficient. Say if that person leaves you, or if that person goes away on a trip, or if that person dies, or whatever the case is, you need to have your own life. You need to have your own things that make you happy, your own set of friends that you can hang out with outside of that person. And the other point to that is, now that person has to also understand that, and they should be doing that same thing. And in that relationship, you guys should be respecting that space for each other. Respect that, okay, he needs space from me. Like, like I need space from him, So this is what we got to realize too. We can't be always 24/7 up our partner's butts. And if it's an issue that you don't trust the person, then what are you doing with them?
Yeah, and one of the unintended consequences of COVID, because everybody had to stay at home,
Yes.
couples say they wanted to spend more time together and whatnot. But one of the unintended consequences was domestic violence rates went up,
Yeah.
right? And so abuse went up, by tenfold when
Mm,
when couples had to be in the same household, stay in the same space all the time. So that there tells you that no one can be with someone 24/7,
right.
right? At some point, there's going to be a rift in the relationship because we are two individual people. So we need that
Right.
time to be alone. We need me time, right?
Yeah.
I need time to be who I'm alone with myself, and you need time alone with yourself. Even though we're in the same house, we're going to have to try to figure this out, right? Because no one should be in a relationship that's abusive. And I don't care if you think this guy's your twin flame or not. No one should be in a relationship if it's abusive, physically abusive, emotionally abusive, or verbally abusive. I don't care which one it is. No one deserves that, because if you're not with someone who respects you, then why are you there?
Right. And I want to double down on what the queen said, and I want to talk to the ladies real quick. I know people who are victims of domestic violence, and I know of some people who have lost their life to domestic violence. If you are in a relationship and you're dealing with domestic violence, do whatever you can immediately to remove yourself safely from that situation. It's not cute. It's not funny. It's not, oh, he loves me, that's why he does it. No. If a man loves you, he will love you. He will not hurt you. He will not hit you. He will not disrespect you and fight you like that, like you're a man. A real man would not do that to a
Will
woman that
never
he
touch you
loves.
like that.
He would never touch you like that. So I'm talking to you, all the women out there. If you're dealing with that, ladies, please gather your strength, gather whatever girlfriends you need to gather. If you got to gather some friends for support, family, get yourself up and walk away from that relationship, please, because your life is worth more than any other person, a man, a woman, whoever. Your life is worth more than that. And you can
It
lose your
is.
life out here messing with somebody that will put their hands on you over some type of emotional discord.
Sometimes it's not even that. They'll just make up something just to hit the
Make up
woman.
something. And a lot of
Yeah.
people that abuse, they make up stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, I'm dealing with the relative now that's going through that same situation where the guy
Yeah.
Oh, you were looking. I know you were giving signals to the guy across the street because you push your glasses up on your face, and he knows that that's the signal. I'm like, doing staying crazy stuff like that so you can have a reason to hit her. But again, since we're talking about Valentine's Day, we're talking about love. I definitely wanted to bring that topic up because it's a serious issue. If you a loving relationship, if a man loves you, he will not abuse you, right? He'll treat you like gold. So you want someone who's going to treat you like gold, and it always goes back to the self love because if you don't love yourself first, who will? Because no woman that loves herself would ever put herself in harm's way.
Right.
And I'm
And
glad you
this is,
put that up there.
yeah, this is so important, you guys. Honestly, here's the hotline. Save the number in your phone and give the number to someone if you know of someone that's dealing with something. If you have to call the number for them, maybe you got to do that. But do something. Try to get yourself out of that situation. So they have a national domestic violence hotline. The number's up on the screen. It's 1-800-799-7233.
And
Ladies, please.
and that's what I was about to say because a lot of these women, they hear you say this, they know they need to dial that number. If you're feeling some way about what we said today and you know that your situation is similar to what we just discussed, then you need to be dialing that number because 2025 should be a different year for you. Again, which two plus two is four plus five equals nine. So this is the year to end things, right? To start new beginnings. You have the energy and the ancestors and spirit behind you right now. Even if you don't have anybody physically present to help you move, it's going to help guide you along in this process. All you got to do is make the phone call and take the first step. And that's the crucial thing, right? You have all the power in the world. It all starts with you.
It all starts with you, and you have to take that crucial step. And I agree with the Queen 100%. I double down. Even if you don't have people physically that you think you can count on, I'm going to tell you something. When you bet on yourself and you love yourself and you do things to protect yourself, trust me, your ancestors, spirit, universe, God, Allah, whatever you call it, has your back 100% because you're not here by mistake. We're all here for a reason. We're all here for a purpose. So if you go ahead and take that first step for yourself, Spirit's going to guide you. They're going to make sure you're safe. It's going to make sure you're okay. You're going to notice things are going to open up for you as soon as you take that first step, but you got to take that first step. And then I'm going to say one more thing and double down on what you're talking about it being a non-universal year. Just like the Queen said, this is the year to be ending things, the energy to end things and start something new. It's also the energy of these confrontations and these conflicts and these arguments and
Immense
guns, knives, explosions, fires.
war.
Do not stay in a relationship that is violent because this is the year that this might not be the one that you make it out of. Okay. And we say that to you with love. We say that to you with compassion and to let you know that you're not alone. You're
Not
not
alone.
alone. Text, call a domestic hotline. Heck, if you want, text me on the moon line. Text me on the moon line. If you're being abused and you need someone to talk to, text my moon line. I have no judgment. I will help
Right.
you any way I can. So this is what it's about. We have to be there for each other, and we can't
Mhm.
let others destroy us. We can't let evil destroy us because at the end of the day, that's an evil being that would do something like that to another person. And
True.
we know the age-old thing is evil versus good. So if you know that someone's being evil like that, and that's an evil presence in your life, you need to get rid of that. Call that domestic hotline number. Text me, email the Queen. Let us know. We can help you with your astro numerology, let you know what your strengths are, what some of your weaknesses may be, and then help you
Hmm.
strengthen those things so you don't have to succumb to someone else's violence and someone treating you in an ill will manner because you don't deserve that. You deserve love and you deserve peace and you deserve happiness.
That's so true. And so I really wanted this came full circle. So how I wanted to wrap up this presentation was saying that Valentine's Day should be a day of self-love. It should be a day where you do things for yourself that you would normally do, right? Even if that's taking yourself out to dinner, pampering yourself, right? Being loving to yourself, give yourself a hug, right? That's what it should be because loving to learn yourself is the greatest love of all. That's from Whitney Houston, right? So at the end of the day, the greatest love of all is you loving yourself.
Yeah,
And again, like I said, we're bringing it home full circle. Valentine's Day should not be predicated on someone else loving you. Should be you
that's right.
predicated on you loving yourself, because it all starts at home. And then again, you start to love yourself, others will love you too.
That's right. You heard the queen. This has been very eye opening. I learned a whole lot. I'm so glad that you came to let us know the difference between what a twin flame and a soulmate is. I think you've explained it beautifully. And I really think that what our conversation did here today, I think that it's going to resonate with people. And I think it's definitely going to help people and just helping people see the value in themselves. No better place for them to learn that than on the Numbers Matter podcast with two queens that have a very loving vibration about them. So I
Yes.
want to thank you so much for coming on and tell us, do you have anything coming up that you want to talk about or anything that you want to plug? Your
Yeah, I will
website.
be on Red Podcasts on the 22nd. Yeah, February 22nd. So looking
Great.
forward to that.
So
And I'm working on,
that's the unread podcast on Mr. Westbrook's channel.
yes,
Nick
yes.
Westbrooks. So just look up Mr. Westbrooks on YouTube. Make sure you go follow Nick, the master teacher over there. And he's going to have Portia on. Now, what date are you going on the web on the
The
podcast?
22nd of this month.
February 22nd.
Yes, and I'm doing Kimberly's show as well, but I haven't set a date, so I will definitely
Okay.
let you know, and you'll mention that on your next episode.
I absolutely will. You know, I will. And of
Hmm.
course, you guys, if you're not following Kimberly, make sure you go follow Kimberly at Kimberly underscore on YouTube. Obviously, we want you to follow the whole astronumerology
The
family.
family.
Yep. We are the leading astronumerologists of the 21st century, and
That's
we're
love and
here to
support.
support you. Yep. We're here to support you. We support each other. And I think you guys can see that we always support each other and we support you. So, if you can't learn from Queen Bee, that's okay. Go learn from Portia. She's the currency queen. She can help you with your real estate things also. So if you have real estate,
Crypto.
crypto, Bitcoin, she's the
Hmm.
Bitcoin queen. She's the currency queen. She's the authority on all money matters. So make sure you guys reach out to her for that. Portia, give them your website.
It is bloomlife.me.
Okay.
Bloomlife.me.
I think I
That is my
had that
site.
right. I'm going to
And I'm
put
going
it
to
up.
start adding some numerology services to there as well. But if you go to bloomlife.me, I have some guides that you can download. I have some free guides. Also have a ebook copy of my book, From Fiat to Digital, to digital, teaching you to upgrade your mindset with crypto. Also have my crypto course on there online if you like to learn crypto from A to Z, just the basics, because I felt like people weren't given the basics. So, especially when you're older, like I'm targeting those who are in their 40s and older, a lot of us don't have the wherewithal to know this knowledge. And so, just to give us a good foundation to get started in crypto. And people have told me they love that class. They got more information out that class than anything they've ever seen on crypto. So, I'm
And I
glad to be
believe it.
here.
I
Yes.
believe it because you're an excellent teacher and you know your stuff. So you guys make sure you hit her up for all of those wonderful things and make sure you check the family out and make sure you check her out on the next podcast. And obviously, Portia, you already know how me and you get down. So I know you'll be back soon. Yep. We'll talk about something and I'll probably have the queen back on in another month or two. And in the meantime, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I
Thank you
want to
for
thank
having
you.
me.
Yep. I want to thank you for all the wonderful information that you shared. Thank you so much, Portia, for being here. Thank you for joining us because I love us, the Universal Supreme. So you're a part of us and I love us. I hope
That's
you
sweet.
love us too.
Peace and blessings, everyone.
So I want you guys to make sure you go hit Portia up on her website at bloomlife.me. Very sharp queen, astronumerologist, the currency queen, the authority on all things Bitcoin, real estate, very knowledgeable. And I want to thank her so much for coming on the show today to talk about such important matters that really affect us all. Ladies, if you are in any type of relationship that's not a healthy one, I want you to immediately dial the number that's at the bottom of this screen and get yourself some help. Okay. With that being said, I love you to life, peace, love, and I love us. I'll see you on the next Numbers Matter podcast. And thank you so much for being here. You made this a unit to unity. Unity 9. Peace and love.